stuff online, but what she found was a nightmare in real life. It's brutal, but before we dive in, I want to let you know that I make videos every week. If you want to see my next video, please like this one and subscribe if you're new. It helps me a lot. Thank you very much and welcome to ASMR True Crime Channel. On November 10th in 2022, a group of fishermen worked in the port of Huacho, a city in Peru's Lima area. In the middle of their routine, they were drawn to the group of scavenger birds that were nearby. As a result, they chose to look into it. What they found was horrifying. A finger that had been cut off and was still wearing a silver ring in the sand. The disturbing discoveries didn't end there. More remains were found nearby, this time without any internal parts. This seemed to have been done on purpose. This case almost defies comprehension. A series of gruesome discoveries in Peru revealed a dark underbelly of human trafficking and the lengths people will go to fulfill this grisly demand. Blanca Arellano lived alone in Mexico City and was 51 years old. She was very close to her niece Carla Arellano. The two kept up a friendship that went beyond family ties. They always found ways to meet and enrich each other's lives. We don't know much about Blanca's life, but her Facebook page showed a glimpse of her interests. The woman had a law degree and her bio said she had also studied tourism. Even though she said she liked to work out and ride her bike, it was online games that really caught her social attention. When the 2020 pandemic started, people were forced to stay home alone more and more. Blanca felt increasingly alone in her own home. To pass the time and maybe feel like she was a part of a group, she turned to Fortnite, a game that was already very popular and had seen a lot of extra activity during the lockdowns. Blanca started to explore a virtual world and meet new people in it, but she had no idea that this choice would put her in risk she had not expected. Blanca met Juan Villafuerte Pinto, a 37-year-old Peruvian guy through Fortnite. What started as an in-game view exchanges quickly turned into a stronger bond. They went from having casual talks while playing to have more personal ones. Sharing their contact information, they quickly became involved in daily talks on sites like Discord and Facebook. Juan Pablo ran a Facebook page called Juan Villafuerte Met, where he said he was a modern vintage player. Blanca joined his online group. She was also an admin for a Facebook group called Juegos Retro, which was all about retro games. Juan Pablo joined this group under his online alias. There was public evidence of their close friendship. In honor of Blanca's 50th birthday on February 6, 2021, Juan Pablo posted a movie on his Juan Villafuerte Met page. In this touching tribute, he called her by the sweet nickname Blanquita. Other loving messages between them could be seen on each other's accounts. The way they talked to each other on these platforms suggested that they were dating, but no one saw the dark turns their relationship would soon take. Blanca and Juan Pablo quickly turned their friendship into something more like a relationship. Blanca told her niece, Carla, how much she loved Juan and how she wanted to be with him physically as well as mentally. It was hard to live in Mexico City while Juan lived in Peru, but the mental connection they built over the 2 years seemed too valuable to give up. At first, the couple had planned for Juan to visit Blanca in Mexico in January 2022. However, the plan fell through for unknown reasons. After a few months, Blanca decided to do something about it herself because she was impatient and in love. Blanca wasn't in the best financial shape. She was worried about her money, but she was ready to give up everything for love. Blanca sold almost everything she owned to pay for her trip to Peru. This included her car, which was necessary for her job, also her beloved bicycle and other stuff. Blanca set out on her trip to Peru on July 22nd in 2022, with the money she got from selling everything she owned. She was ready to uproot her life for the man she loved. She was ready to do anything, but she had no idea how dangerous her choice was. At 2:45 a.m., Blanca landed at Jorge Chávez Airport in Lima, which is the capital of Peru, on July 28th, Tuesday. Over the next few days, Juan Pablo was the perfect host, taking her to famous tourist spots and beautiful places during their quick romance trip. Blanca kept in touch with her niece Carla on a daily basis and told her about her day. Everything looked wonderful. I am so happy, she said, praising Juan's love, kindness, and wit. All of her dreams came true when she met him. It was her dream man. Juan showed his love by giving her nice gifts and taking her on many beautiful dates. Blanca was clearly in love. She also kept up with things online. On November 6th, her most recent live video game stream was posted. The initial joy of Blanca's move to Peru was short-lived and tinged with elements that puzzled her family. Blanca said she bought a Peruvian cell phone so she could stay in touch with Juan while he was away for school, but for some reason she never gave her family the number. As of Monday, November 7th, there was an unusual silence. She didn't text or call anyone, and she wasn't active on any of her social networks. For someone like Blanca, who is always on her phone, this behavior set off alarm bells right away with her family. As her family became more worried, they tried to get in touch. Her niece Carla sent Juan a message on Facebook, desperately looking for any information about her aunt's sudden and mysterious absence. They were surprised with the answer they got, though. The family's fears were only increased by Juan's answer. He said he hadn't heard from Blanca in days, which made him think she had left him because she didn't like their life together. According to Juan, Blanca got bored and chose to go back to Mexico. She took a flight from Lima to Mexico City. He thought that Blanca might not have been able to call because her phone might have run out of power. His words were sad and resigned, but they also left an unsettling gap. Blanca had said in the past that she was happy and satisfied with Juan and their relationship, so the story didn't quite fit with what she had said. Carla and the rest of her family were left with more questions than answers. Their worries grew with each second they didn't hear from Blanca. There were alarms going off in Carla's head, and she decided to make her worries public by using Twitter to get people to look for her lost aunt. She not only asked for help, but she also told the story of Blanca's move to Peru to live with Juan, making it sound like he was the last person who saw her. The charge was barely hidden, suggesting that Juan might know more than he was saying. The online reaction made the social media plea go viral very quickly. The family then publicly filed a missing person report. The Peruvian cops didn't have much information at this point. Even though Blanca was an adult, there were no solid proof that a crime had happened. She went to Peru on her own free will, and there were no signs of abuse or pressure. The police didn't have many options for what to do right away. But just 2 days later, the investigation took a sudden and dramatic turn that changed the course of events in a way that no one could have imagined. On November 10th, only 3 days into the official search for Blanca, the police got a very scary call that would change the course of the case. On the shore of Huacho Beach, fishermen found a horrible scene. Human parts were lying all over the sand, starting with an amputated finger, followed by an arm and a head. Scavenger birds had already started their nasty meal. The cops quickly responded and secured the area while forensic experts did their careful investigations. The remains were in a state that suggested someone was trying to keep them from being identified. The face and fingertips had been skillfully dissected. Despite the challenges posed by this awful crime, experts were able to figure out 3 primary factors. First, the body parts belonged to a woman who was probably in her 40s. Second, her fingerprints were not found in Peruvian records, which meant she was probably not a Peruvian citizen. Even though the body parts couldn't be definitely identified at the scene, the evidence made many people, including the police, wonder if they might be Blanca's. Had her search for love ended in such a horrible way? If so, what part, if any, did Juan play in this terrible ending? The third important find was a silver ring on one of the cut fingers. This caught the attention of the police right away. Already in a lot of pain, her family sent pictures to make sure the ring in the pictures matched the one that was found on the finger. Blanca's family was very sad to hear this news, but official identification would not happen until DNA testing was done. Her niece made a trip to Lima to help with the DNA tests that were needed. On November 11th, another shocking finding was made. At the dry riverbed mouth at the beach, cops found a torso that had been cut off from the same body that had been found days earlier. Quite horrifyingly, all of the parts inside had been surgically removed. The person who made those cuts must have known something about medicine because the job was well done and was clean. And Juan had been studying medicine. This macabre detail made detectives work even harder to figure out what was going on. By November 12th, the public's attention had clearly turned to Juan Pablo's, mostly because of Carla's tweet. Not only did she ask everyone to help her find her aunt Blanca, but she also said that Juan was the last person to see Blanca in Peru. His reputation as a suspect was now stronger in the public's mind. Juan Pablo tried to avoid these accusations by posting about them on social media. He told her that Blanca was homeless in Peru and that he was a nice guy who could give her money and a place to stay. Another thing he said was that their relationship wasn't romantic because Blanca was mentally unstable and made it all up. But Carla quickly denied these claims and there was a war of words on the internet. Carla fought hard to protect her aunt while Juan Pablo did everything he could to avoid taking responsibility. Sensing the growing tension and uncooperative behavior, the public prosecutor office moved swiftly. On November 13th, they said they were going to speed up the investigation by going to Huacho to get more information and officially ask Juan Pablo to come in for questioning. He went to the Criminal Investigation Department on November 14th. He kept up his stern attitude and used his right to stay silent, refusing to talk to the police. He did say, though, that he wasn't seeing Blanca romantically. Besides Juan and Blanca, other people who lived nearby were also interviewed. It was confirmed by their landlord that he and Blanca had been dating for a few months, and other neighbors agreed with this. A woman from the same building also said that Juan had bought big black trash bags from the store a few days before Blanca went missing. This makes it possible that the bags were used to move the body. The prosecutor in charge of the case didn't give up when Juan tried to avoid being caught. He did what seemed like the next obvious thing to do. He looked into Juan's home, which he shared with Blanca. In the afternoon of November 15th, the police searched Juan's room very carefully, and during the search, they found a Mexican flag, woman's clothes, suitcases, and hairpieces. Most importantly, there were signs of blood in several places in the flat. After that, the horrific images were shown to the media and then to everyone else. There were luminal tests which show that blood traces can be seen even after cleaning attempts. These tests show that even though he tried to hide what he had done, blood was still visible on many surfaces. These places were on the bed, the floor, on the walls, in the kitchen, the bathroom, the laundry room, and things like scissors, bags, and other tools. The severity of the findings in this home left little doubt in the minds of the investigators or the public. He played a big role in Blanca's disappearance. Juan's lawyer was in a tough spot because the blood evidence and Blanca's personal belongings found at the house proved beyond doubt that he was connected to her. The DNA tests on the blood and hair samples had not yet come back, but there was a lot of other proof that pointed to Juan. There was an arrest warrant out for Juan Pablo from Peruvian officials in the afternoon of November 17th. He was the main suspect in Blanca's disappearance. However, Juan already fled. The situation got even more confusing when it came out that he had an identical twin. This made the victim's family and the police worry that he might pretend to be his twin and let the real killer get away with it. Luckily, Juan Pablo was found by the National Police later that day in part of Villa El Salvador, an area in the south. He was in the house where he lived with his new partner. While he was being arrested, the police asked him if he knew there was a warrant out for his arrest, which he flatly denied. He also said he had nothing to do with Blanca's disappearance. He was then taken to the main office of the National Directorate of Criminal Investigation, where he was detained for the first 72 hours. Juan Pablo's life was now the main topic of conversation in the national media. He told different stories when he was being questioned. He said he wasn't with Blanca and wasn't near where she went missing. He told the judge that the case was hurting his family and schoolwork. He claimed to be innocent. He said he wasn't guilty and wished the victim's family peace and told the cops to find the real killer. But then the case took a turn, a very dark turn. When police looked into Juan's TikTok account, they found a string of videos showing human parts, specifically a stomach, a pancreas, and a brain. These were the exact organs that were missing from the body that was found on the beach. That was already a brutal crime, now looked like it could also involve organ trafficking. The media also reported statements from a medical professor who called for his expulsion for allegedly trying to trade human organs. Juan Pablo bought chemical cleaning products on the day he said he was at his other home, which was not near the crime scene. The last thing he looked up on Google was how to restart a cell phone, which suggests he was trying to clean and erase a device. Juan missed 3 important biology classes in November. November 7th, November 8th, and November 9th. These were the same days that the last sign of Blanca's life was found. He is being held in jail until the court process is over. Scary to think that Juan had planned this from the beginning, and it had been going on for years. He started a relationship with a woman online years ago with the goal of harvesting her organs. When he tried to get her to leave her country, her friends, her family, and all the safety she knew, to be with him alone, but she never came back. Truly terrifying. During the first court sessions, Blanca's family said things that no one else had heard. They said that in the last few days of talking, she had changed how she acted. Her tone was quiet, and if she was afraid of being heard. She also said that Blanca had called the airline on November 3rd, a few days before she went missing, to ask for a refund on her ticket to Mexico, but it was told it was not possible. She seemed to be getting by Juan's meager 80 sols a week. Also, they didn't see each other every day because Juan had to go to school 2 days a week. Blanca had to stay hidden in their shared room while he was gone because the owner of the house, their landlord, only let one person live there at a time. It was clear that their living situation wasn't working. The prosecutor also introduced new evidence. Bleach and a different cleaner called Pinol were discovered in Juan's bedroom. The prosecutor also said that the body that was found had exact cuts where the face and other important organs had been taken out. Only someone with medical experience would have been able to do such a precise surgery. Juan used the chance to defend himself, saying that he was being targeted because he was studying medicine. His story was that he wasn't in Huacho during the time Blanca went missing. Juan said that his TikTok channel was only meant to help other students with their tests. He made himself look like a victim of the situation. While the case was going on in court, DNA tests proved the body parts found did belong to Blanca. As a result, Juan's claims went from disappearance to murder. The prosecution's case kept getting stronger. There were evidence that Juan had turned off the GPS on his phone on purpose so that his position could not be tracked. But the case wasn't over yet. The prosecution said that Juan's best friend, Edison Amir Flores, who owned a cargo motorcycle, was an accomplice. Both guys were seen riding the bike to a store near the crime scene on the evening of November 7th to buy 8 large trash bags, 2 packs of cigarettes, and cookies. After 30 minutes, Juan told his landlord that he had left his motorcycle in the hallway of the building. The next day, he bought disinfectants and didn't go to college classes. Although Edison admitted to these actions, he denied any knowledge of a murder. By this point, the case against Juan had amassed more than 60 pieces over corroborating evidence. Faced with overwhelming weight of the facts, Juan decided it was time to come clean. He admitted it that he was in the city of Huacho at the time of the crime. He said he arrived on the 6th of November at the room he shared with Blanca. He said he rang the doorbell, but nobody answered. But this was inconsistent with the version given by his friend. After being named as a suspect in Blanca's murder on November 22, Juan Pablo was given a 9-month jail sentence. In a letter, Juan expressed that he didn't want his family to suffer further or be treated like an animal. He and his defense team asked for his release, saying that there wasn't enough proof against him. However, the judges disagreed. On November 23rd, Blanca's family set up an altar to remember her. Through her niece Carla's Twitter account, they confirmed that the body found on the beach in Huacho was that of her aunt. Images of white floral arrangements were visible as Carla urged Peruvian authorities to ensure justice is served in her aunt Blanca's murder. She hopes the trial sets a precedent for punishing those who commit such crimes. Carla also expressed gratitude to the media and the authorities for keeping Juan Pablo behind bars. Juan Villafuerte Pinto was sentenced 35 years imprisonment, and they ordered him to pay a civil reparation of 50,000 sols, that's around $13,500, to the heirs of the victim. It is sickening how badly people have been treated in this case and how little they care about human life. Thank you for listening. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe for more stories. Until next time.